It is the Tuesday now before Christmas. So today we have normal hours. Wednesday we will have normal hours, and then Christmas Eve will only be here from 8:30 to 11. And that's going to be a doctor. So if you think you need to get in Christmas Eve, you need to call, make an appointment because Christmas Eve is filling up. So if you need to get in, call ASAP. How's that? But it's Tuesday before Christmas, so let's go ahead and let's start the day off here. All right, so every day, every Tuesday, we talked about a different bone of the spine. Today, I'm going to kind of talk about a bone of the spine. I'm going to kind of not talk about a bone of the spine. We talked before, we have 7 cervical vertebrae in our neck. We have 12 thoracics in our ribs, and we have 5 lumbars in our lower back. But those all sit on top of the sacrum. The sacrum is the very, very bottom bone. Now, when I see little kids, I always ask them the same question. I always ask them, who has more bones in their body? Me, your mom or dad, or you? And they always point at dad usually, then mom, and they think, well, maybe the chiropractor. And then they realize it's them because when you're little, your sacrum is 6 different bones, and as you go through puberty, they fuse together and make one solid bone. So that's your sacrum. So when you look at a little kid, it almost looks like they have more vertebrae than an adult because that sacrum's not fully fused yet. Now, the L5, the very last lumbar vertebrae, 25 to 30% of people have abnerations down there because when those sacrums are starting to fuse together, a lot of times that L5 thinks that looks pretty neat and he tries to join the party. Or some of us, that top sacrum decides doesn't want to be part of that, it breaks off. That's why sometimes people have 4 lumbars or maybe 6 lumbars. It's because of the way that fuses down there. And also sometimes it only halfway commits. So I've x-rayed people before in their teenage years and they have a thin disc at L5. That's because that L5 thought about fusing. It's not because they have arthritis degeneration. It's because that bone thought about fusing. So we see a lot of times when people are diagnosed with a really bad L5 disc and it's thin, but when you look at the bone really closely, you see that the L5 is starting to become part of the sacrum. So there's not really an issue there. So if anyone ever says you have a major L5 issue, post x-rays or previous x-rays you've had in the past are great. But also take a look at a chiropractor because look to see if there's any arthritis degenerative changes. Because usually if you lose your disc, you also get arthritic degenerative changes. But let's talk about the nerves that come out of the sacrum. What are the nerves of the sacrum? There's nerves coming out of that sacrum too. And we talked a lot about before, we talked about the first bone in the neck, your C1. We talked about how that controls your relaxing nerves. You have a fight or flight response. So with the fight and flight response with the sympathetic nerves, you have the opposite called the parasympathetics. Those are the ones that tell your body the stress is gone, danger's over, time to relax. So the top bone right here, C1, has a nerve that comes out called the vagus nerve. And vagus in Latin means wander. It wanders everywhere. I'll belly button up, I always say generically, belly button up. So what does belly button down? Well, that's your sacrum. Your sacrum does everything belly button down. So we find a lot of people down here with bladder, bowel issues, bedwetting, and also infertility for women. We see that a lot. Their sacrum's off. So as we go in and look at the sacrum, they get them adjusted. We remove the interference coming from the sacrum. And when the interference and the signal can be interpreted properly, then the body goes back to homeostasis and things heal. So we don't really fix bowels. We don't really fix bladder. We don't really fix bedwetting. We don't really fix infertility. But there's things that the sacrum's involved with that can create those things. So if we can correct the sacrum, then the nerves can do their proper job and go back to homeostasis or, what they're supposed to do. And the parasympathetics can express themselves again the way they're supposed to. So if you know anybody that has any injuries like that, if you know anyone that tells the stories of having a thin L5 disc or worn out L5 disc, or people with extra bones in their lumbar spine or lack of bones in their lumbar spine, it's usually the sacrum's involved down there. Other than that, it's Tuesday before Christmas. I see everyone's running around getting the holiday hustle, and I hope everyone's staying safe and taking time to enjoy the holidays. And we'll talk to everybody real soon.